From New York, Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, you know the whole squad, but I'm holding it down right here for the Caribbean community. Shawnee Culture here, locked in with the Viking.
Yeah, man.
Mr. Bunji Garlin.
What's going on?
I'm goody, man. How are you feeling?
Very good, sir.
Nice. So, listen, man, we want to talk about a couple of things, you know.
Yeah.
First off, what happened to the beautiful wife, man?
Well, just like 2-3 days ago, we had the Jamaican Jerk Festival in Washington, D.C.
Right.
And
Not to be confused with jerk mac and cheese, which I do each and every Wednesday, let the people know in Brooklyn. Sorry, guys.
Right, so it was the Grace Jamaican Jerk Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened, the show wasn't open Savannah.
Mm-hmm.
So that dust just get into and mash up sinus, everything.
Right.
So she's a bit under the weather right now. So I'm taking charge here now.
Got you.
Right.
So now for the people, like, you know, a lot of us know your history and some of us out here don't know exactly who the Viking is.
Well, of course, naturally, I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, right? First things first. So the first thing you think about when you hear Trinidad and Tobago, for most people, you think about calypso, soca. So yes, I am a soca artist from Trinidad and Tobago, but with exceptional skills, of course.
Of
So
course.
you know, I dabble, of course, with
Into different
the
things.
artists on the dancehall side, with some of the artists on the hip hop
Now,
side.
stop right there.
Yeah.
There's some people who don't know the difference between soca and reggae.
And reggae, right?
Because I
Still,
seen even on the paperwork that they gave me, trying to give me some notes.
Yeah.
They say Trinidadian reggae soca artist.
Yeah. Well, in my case,
So define for the people who don't know.
Well, in my case, that may be the case where I'm Trinidadian reggae soca artist because I do all types of music, right? And of course, between being Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica so close to each other, we are neighbors, so we exchange cultural vibes and things like that, right? But in the correct terminology, I am a soca artist, right? I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, and the music I do mostly, generally, is from Trinidad and Tobago, for Trinidad and Tobago, right? So, you know, adding other montage to my name is kind of just pushing it a little bit for fun and games. But truth and in fact is that I do dabble in other types of music, work with other artists from other genres, and I work with them seamlessly, right? From the Major Lasers to the Skrillex, to the Beanie Man, the Vibes Cartels, the Busy Signals, right? When Different Trilogy just dropped Ready for the Road. Remember, there was the remix with Busta Rhymes.
Right.
I have some tracks with, of course, my boys from Virgin Islands, R City. So, you know, so we dabble in and around everything.
Right. Because you've been able to do a lot more than other soca artists in terms of crossover.
Yeah.
You know, and differentology, which some people may not know by name,
By
or
name.
some people
Everyone
who are not familiar.
everyone know it as
We
Ready for the Road. Yeah. Ready for the Road.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So big tune that crossed over.
Yeah.
You know, and was at the start of a lot of the new
Yes.
merging
Yes, it was.
of this crossover Caribbean feel in our music now.
That song opened the gateway for a lot of fusions.
100%.
Not only for me, but for a lot of the music that is happening now. You know, it's kind of templated off of that song.
Yeah.
All right. And
You were able to kind of adjust the palette
of
of a lot of people who weren't familiar because differentology it had like a house kind of feel to the
right,
beats.
yeah. Because the instruments that were used were not traditionally what we'd call Caribbean instruments, right? Because like the synths and the lines were like borrowed from electronic dance music, right? And then you had a deep underlying sub bass that you'd probably find like in hip hop, like dum 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 dum, dum, deep like a 808 something. So it kind of borrowed from each genre, and but really and truly, if you look at all music, it's the same story over and over.
Right.
This music has a piece of that music, and that music has a piece of this music, but it is more. It is more prominent now than before, for many reasons. One, because music in itself always seeks to find new environments and new borders to cross. Even if the carriers of the music don't want to cross the border, the music will eventually find its own way to cross whichever border it needs to cross. And sometimes by doing that, it adapts with the new environments that it may come in contact with. And then when you have pioneers, or you have the artists that start peaking and rising to the top of their games, when they automatically start looking for new things to do that they never did before. So as much as Caribbean music has been touched over the years, what you see now as compared to 10 years ago is a totally different thing. I mean, the Caribbean music, the Caribbean element in music, or the island sounds in all the worldly music, is more prominent than ever before. You cannot deny it.
Right. And what do you think that's from? Now, we know differentology was one of the forefront, but now, why is it being so embraced?
Well, it's embraced now because there's the constant search for new sounds, right? I mean, every type of music is looking for something new to do now because all that we did already. So, when you reach to new borders now and there's so much to offer, you start tapping into it deeper and deeper and deeper. So, I mean, years ago, you ain't gonna hear a hip hop artist on an Afrobeat.
Right.
But then you hear Drake on the Afrobeats with Wizkid and whoever. And then you have these collaborations like with Conscience and Chris Brown. And some real unusual, unlikely combinations that you wasn't imagining or thinking. But then it happens and it works.
Right.
And what helps that too is that more than many years ago, there are a lot of Caribbean players, human beings, who are becoming more influential or becoming more positioned in places of influence, from radio to TV to sports. So someone will be affiliated with the NBA, and that will be a stream to push more Caribbean music in. So that's why on an NBA night you will hear a song from me, you hear a song from another soca artist or a dancehall artist.
And the thing is, you don't really see that many soca artists from Trinidad crossover. You really are the main one. I can't really name too many from Trinidad that have crossed over the way you have. Reggae artists have been able to be in American music for a long time. The way their thing is set up, they have a strong support system. When you say that, what you mean?
Which is their own people, right? It's just like the Latin community. When reggaeton came onto the scene, it was no one could have denied the force of reggaeton because the movement started within their community and it was so huge that the whole world had to take note. It's the same thing with reggae. And from the movement from Bob Marley to Shabba to the Jamaican community rolled so strong with their own that the rest of the world had to take note. So
does it feel like with Trinidad it's not the same support from the people?
No, it's no secret. That's something that we've been discussing for years now.
That we don't support soca music the way the other islands support their own music.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is that, right, Trinidad is known as a community that just naturally doesn't support their own regardless. It doesn't mean, not music only. In sport, in academics, whatever the case may be. We have become a society that kind of taught ourselves not to believe in ourselves. And we have this attitude of only if it goes and get big abroad, then we could accept it and say, well, it's worth something. But all the other cultures build their own from home first and then send it out. We have the reverse mentality. We have the mentality where we want to build it abroad first, see if everyone else outside likes it, and then we will like it. And that is our Achilles heel for the longest while. So every time we have an opportunity to step forward, we step like 3 steps back, because when whoever is at the forefront to carry the torch, when you're looking around now for the support system, most times it is not there.
Right.
And it kind of just and that translates into
a variety of things.
just get despondent, you don't want to do it anymore and things like that. So it's always a constant struggle.
Right.
But there are those from the Trinidadian community who really genuinely, will support.
Right.
But like on a
As
general,
a whole.
But on a general thing, that is a constant battle we've been fighting for years and years and years.
So speaking of division and unity, take us for a little walk through the other prominent figure coming out of Trinidad, as we know for a very long time, Machel Montano. Right. So now, some of us may not know the conflict or not know the resolution.
Yeah.
Right. So as clean as you want to make it.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
No problem. Well, I think with all music or with all cultures, in terms of taking the reins and leadership and things like that, you will always have the conflict line between two prominent figures.
Of course.
It so happened in our case, it ended up being myself and Machel Montano. And for years, it was just, like bitter waters. We couldn't see eye to eye and this and that.
Do you know why that was? Is that just different style, taste?
Yeah, it was more than different style and different taste. I mean, he had his things that he believed that he should do in a certain way. Mm-hmm. I had my things that I believe I should do in a certain way. And of course, when you view things in a certain way, you expect that other people will see that way too, right?
And when you say that, you mean music specifically?
Music, music and things like that, And what we ended up learning is that, what we have to do is really respect everyone's view. Mm-hmm. Everyone might have a different approach, and your success due to your approach may not be successful for me if I approach it the same way. I have to find a different approach, right? For example, like me, I'm known as the aggressive one, right?
The Viking.
Right. I have to use that to my advantage. I cannot go out there and be singing all these love songs like, I'm not a sweet boy. Right? And things like that. So when we eventually met last year, after all these years, it was a very cordial, coy, peaceful, it was a meeting that was basically ready to happen.
So now,
because when we met...
Was the meeting organic or was it arranged?
Nah, it was organic. It was organic in the sense of, it so happened we were in St. Lucia at the same time for the same event, staying at the same hotel. So his management just called my management. It was like, yo, we're in the same hotel. Let's discuss.
One time.
So, all teams discuss, like, let's just meet. And when we went to meet, at no point in time was there, in 2001, you did this and I didn't like it. Right. And in 2002, you did this and we didn't have that. It was like, look, we are leaders in our industry. We have the opportunity or we have the potential to present something now that can help the industry grow into a new way with a new vision and a new approach and everything. So you know what? Let's just be civil. Right now, we agreed to be civil. We just put the music to the side. It's not about collaborations and let's just be civil. If I see you in the morning or I see you in the evening and I see you falling on the wayside, I help you up. If I see you down, I push you up. If I see you falling, I don't laugh at you when you're falling. Just human being to human being. And let everything develop from there. And that was the case. And it just naturally grew into what it grew.
And as you said, based on the division, that is the undertone in Trinidad, this was a big move. Because there was a lot of people that once this came out, once you two made the collaboration, and you kept it a secret for a long time, right? It just kind of out of nowhere, this collaboration.
Yeah, because we've been, since the meeting last year, which was in August actually, August, we've been, talking on the phone, WhatsApp, Happy Father's Day, Merry Christmas,
love.
Just vibes. But as we all agreed as well, it wasn't an Instagram moment or a Twitter moment. It wasn't a show for the public. We good. We don't need to show the people that until the time for the people to see it. And
that make it more real too.
Yeah.
We're not doing this for no poppy show. This ain't just for let's pretend. It's like, you know what, genuinely, we have a responsibility as leaders, as you said.
Right. So
let's make sure that it's real. They're going to see it.
Yeah, and we're good now. And everything is nice.
Nice.
And we're actually currently working on some... We're working on some new, some ideas that we think or we believe should or could
be very large.
Well, not only be very large too, but I think it will work in the favor of the industry that we represent.
Okay,
right? Because
that's good.
Yeah, because what happened is it is no secret that the industry we come from is kind of like the underdog. Right?
Yeah, soca music is not getting the praise that it should. Right? You saw Justin Bieber jumped on the big tune.
Right.
And all that. I mean, we see where the music is right now.
Exactly. So the sounds are being borrowed. Right. But the credit is not being given to where it comes from. Right. Which is all well and good. We have to kinda. No, we have to rise up to the occasion and stamp the authority and say and let it be known that this is our sound, but not to the point that this is our sound, it is untouchable. Of course, we would like to share it, but we would like the world to identify too that it actually belongs to somewhere. And we would like to, properly package it and sell it the right way it should be sold, which is something has been plaguing our music as well.
Right.
Because we never really had a proper music industry for our system. I mean, even up to this time, the soca or calypso engine, the Trinidad engine, the carnival engine is still dependent on the the engine of when VP Records make a move. We don't have years ago we had like the JW Records, I think in Brooklyn, and Charlie's Records that were dedicated to pushing soca music and calypso music and things like that. But the moment they kind of get pushed to the back by the industry itself, we have nothing else to turn to. And again, the attitude of looking for outside help comes back into play. So everyone who has an opportunity in our industry, we kind of now want to lean on the engine of VP Records.
Right.
And kind of wait until, when the reggae music move, then we will make a move. But we kind of need to get out of that because, Jamaicans build the industry for themselves. They work hard and they build it. We have to work hard and build it.
Right.
No one owes us anything that, because we are so close to them, they should help us. Right. They could help us if they would like to help us, but we should help ourselves.
So what do you think is part of that process in terms of getting this crossover stamp that Trinidad may need in order to be in the mainstream? Because you did it.
Yeah.
Right? So is it the sound?
Sound is one, and the songs are the next thing. Because if you listen to the sounds and the songs that come from Jamaica, come from the US, whether it be from R&B, hip-hop, even from the EDM circuit, the electronic dance, the alternatives, the topics that they would touch is topics that almost anyone could relate to. We, back home in our carnival region, or festive region, as I would call it, we still, our climax, or our target point is to dedicate music to the festivities itself. Not everywhere in the world has a carnival.
Right.
But everywhere in the world, someone could be happy, someone could be sad, someone could be angry. So if there's music that could relate to them at the point in time, they would attach to it.
Right.
But then now, when I leave Trinidad and Tobago, and I go to Budapest to perform, and they know nothing about carnival or what I represent, it does not translate.
It doesn't resonate.
So it's just like, pass that straight. We don't understand it, so we pass it straight. So we are in a position, because of the talent that we have as a community, we are very talented people. We are in a position now to cater dual citizenship, I would call it. We are in a position now to cater for what we know, and we have the skill set to write for beyond what we know, for the other communities that are not in touch with what we do. But there's the fear factor, because a lot of the artists don't write for themselves and say they don't know now how to come up with product outside of the circuit that we know.
Right. So basically you're saying one of the elements might be, in order to get this mainstream love, is to shift the content of the soca music, because everything is not party jump. All
right, look at this.
And look, but quick insert.
Yeah.
Whatchamacallit, Mr. Vegas switched his move from doing straight party dancehall music to doing more of a gospel thing, and that comes with the fear factor now.
Yeah.
Now you're switching your fan base a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the next thing. People are afraid to lose their fan base that they build, but the point of being a creative person is to push the limits.
Of course.
You always have to find something new. You always and automatically you're going to piss some people off. You're going to get new people. No one journey is constant in terms of the same thing happening over and over and over. Anything that is happening like that eventually will become boring. And no creative individuals like that, right? And what I was about to say was that the over the years, if you look at the successful tracks that came from the soca side of things, right? You could probably count like 10. But then look at the content that they dealt with, right? So the very first song to sell 1 million copies in the world, right, was labeled a Calypso record, which was Deo, me say Deo, right?
That's Belafonte,
Harry
right?
Belafonte, right? It was classified
Bahamas.
as a Calypso, right? It was written, so from, I think the writer was either from Barbados or something like that, right? So this was the first song in the world to sell 1 million copies, right? Certified.
Still classic.
Still classic, right? Years after that, you had that time it was called Calypso still. Rum and Coca-Cola. That ended up in the movies and things like that, right?
Right.
Then after that, years later down, you had, in terms of like huge success, Arrow, Hot from Montserrat,
right,
which was redone by Buster Poindexter and just took over the globe. Then years later down,
Who Let the Dogs Out.
Who Let the Dogs Out.
Which was recreated too.
Which was recreated by Bahamen, originally sung by Anselm Douglas from Trinidad and Tobago. And after that, you come all the way down, and I'm talking about international success. You come all the way down to Kevin Little Rupee, like one after the next.
Wow.
Turn Me On and Tempted to Touch.
Right.
Tempted to Touch, which end up in the movie with After the Sunset or something like that.
From Barbados.
Right, and Kevin Little song going all over the place.
Right.
Then after that, years later, Differentology.
Right. So it's a small handful
But
crossover.
But look at the content all of them had. None of the content had anything to do with carnival or dancing on the streets or partying in costumes or behind trucks or festival for Labor Day. It had content that anyone who heard it could listen and relate.
Right.
And
so that
sing
is
it
the
back.
key.
And that is the key.
That is a part of the key.
Yeah.
So y'all listen, I love that you have the gems. You know what it is. You've done it. Real talk.
Yeah,
You've done it. So when you get the new music, when you and Machel able to do some stuff or any new music, I heard the new song. What's the name of it again?
Which one? Workout?
Workout,
yeah.
Woo!
Produced by my producer from Trinidad.
Strength.
Static.
Strength.
Yeah,
Strength.
man. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We need them songs.
Yeah, man.
Pass them to me.
They're going to be
saying?
coming. Trust me, they're going to be coming.
You know what I'm saying? I need all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to try and get this to the ears that people need to hear, yo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to keep it moving. Can I get a little, you know what I'm saying, for the people? I know you. Sometimes you've called yourself the Busta Rhymes of soca.
Not me, I never call myself that.
Lyrical. Yo, or maybe I've heard that from somebody else.
You probably heard that from somebody else somewhere along the line.
Right. And one of the things that we attribute to your artistry is the fact that you write for yourself. A lot of people don't know, and you mentioned that a little second ago, but a lot of people don't know that soca artists don't really write their own content.
Yeah, well, no.
But you do.
Yeah, well, no, because the ones from before, the foundation ones, they used to be in charge of all their content. But now there's a shift and there's this huge explosion of songwriters. And the artists now allowing themselves to become lazy, and we cannot afford to do that. No one is downing artists working with songwriters.
Of course.
But at some point in time, you need to rise to the occasion, because what happens if the songwriter decides, well, I don't want to write for anyone anymore. I want to be the singer now.
Right.
What is going on with you? You wasn't doing mental exercise all this time. Now you're going to scrape to put something together.
Right.
And it's come out, very shaky.
Right.
We can't afford that. We need to really, it's work all around. We all need to work all around.
Right.
You know
100%.
Yeah, man.
So y'all give the people a taste, man.
Oh, boy.
Pressure.
Oh, boy. I won't even... All right. Well, on the road, push them thing there, 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 on the road. Watchmen, pass the wine, everything get tempt. Duty free, everything exempt. Kind of wine every man can gem that make them want cover all the bills and rent. They're thinking about engagement to keep you captive like it's enslavement. When you wine, there's no replacement. They're banting, looking in amazement. Bust the wine, mash up the pavement. Fling your waist and make a statement.
Hey.
When it come to whining in party, anything test must make arrangement with the funeral home and make your payment. Party wine like plenty cavemen. You're braver than 20 brave men. Fire waistline, we blaze them the road. On the road, push them thing, you understand? Yeah, for the girls them, man.
Yo, Mr. Bunji Garlin, the
Respect
Viking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Come back anytime, man.
Yeah,
You're always
man,
welcome
man.
here. You know, New York have the strong Caribbean background and base out here. Labor Day weekend coming up just now.
Yeah,
you know
just a few things to give them keep them abreast of. Of course, my album is coming out very soon with VP Records. Look out for there's some projects actually that we just completed. One with Shaggy. Another one with
Mr. Bombastic.
Yeah, another one that I just did with our city. A huge one with a deadly dangerous. I'll play it for you after off the camera. Right?
Yeah.
And of course, big up to the squad called the Island Boy Cartel, which is of course Cardinal Official, my boy Pressure Bus Pipe from Virgin Islands, our city, Benny Dimas, who is Akon's DJ, myself, Verse Simmons, and a few collective of Island team. The squad is called Island Boy Cartel.
Yeah.
We actually have a movement and something coming very soon where that is concerned.
That's a secret too.
Yeah. Trust me, but it's really gonna make the West Indian community rise right up.
Please keep me in the loop, man.
Boom.
You know what I'm saying? We will connect with the people.
Yeah, man.
All right, Bunji Garlin.